Thanksgiving Day, if you remember, near downtown Shreveport, that morning began with absolute sadness and what certainly felt like little to be thankful for. An SUV with 3 inside loses control, flips, killing the driver. And it seems we were this close to losing a second life on that cold November morning, but that's where we found living proof that even in the face of death, life has a way of delivering just the right kind of help at just the right time. November 22nd at around 10:30 in the morning, about the only traffic on the road at that point. Mostly locals hustling across town for work or Thanksgiving Day lunch.
I just pulled the ham out of the oven, was trying to get here for work, had to be here at 11.
Or for Eric Sandel, both.
We'll be out with a vehicle here at I-20 westbound at Lakeshore.
And Steve Wilkinson knew he'd be home by the time the turkey was done.
How you doing?
Gas.
Ran out of gas?
Couldn't make it to the hill.
Okay. My wife was busy cooking. I didn't want to be in her way.
So he clocked in for a few hours' work. Steve spends many days driving the interstates of Caddo and Bossier parishes.
I'd made a few stops that morning. I'd stopped, changed a couple of tires, my typical day.
Helping keep the roads safe with Louisiana DOTD's Motorist Assistance Patrol.
First caught my eye that there was a vehicle in the middle of the lane and people standing around it.
Whenever I stopped, I realized that there was a body.
But for these two, Thanksgiving Day quickly evolved from joyful thoughts of dressing and pumpkin pie.
I seen the woman that was laying on the ground just exhale her last bit of air.
To a very unexpected holiday call to duty.
You never know who you're going to come up on. You know, you come up on people that are down on their luck, and then you come up on people that just broke down.
For Steve, it can be a daily dose of expect the unexpected.
Probably going to have to go back first and then go forward.
Like witnessing a Saints lover being helped by Cowboy fans roadside.
Turn it to the left, to the left.
To finding himself on countless accident scenes in his 18 years with DOTD.
Hey, I'm here a little ways behind this accident. I'm at I-20 eastbound.
Including one that happened on this same stretch of I-20 a little more than a month ago.
A lot of the bad runs that we make, yeah, they still come to light like this one. I mean, every day you're passing by that place, I'll always remember that accident.
It's a daily reminder for Steve. The marks left behind on the retainer wall, a daily reminder for anyone else driving by.
You always wondered, did I make the right decisions? Did I do everything that I could do with what I had to work with?
But his decision making.
Through this, I was hollering at the man that was in a daze, calling 911.
Along with Eric's, very well saved a life, where sadly life was already lost. According to this police report, an SUV eastbound on I-20 lost control and swerved across 2 right-hand lanes, crashing into the wall. The driver was thrown from the vehicle. One of the first on scene, Eric Sandel, a phlebotomist by trade, but armed with ample medical training from Willis Knight and Bossier.
I actually started doing compressions right away. Felt for a pulse, could never feel a pulse.
But his training told him the driver, sadly, couldn't be revived. So he quickly moved on to the 2 men still inside the heavily damaged SUV.
There was a man hanging out of the vehicle. He was being strangled by his seatbelt. I thought he was dead because I couldn't feel a pulse.
As soon as I stopped, people ran up to the truck and said, you know, there were injuries, and they believed 2 people may have been deceased.
And fortunately, Steve, who arrived moments later, isn't just trained in changing flats.
My dad was a fireman, and I grew up around the fire station.
Captain Steve Wilkinson is stationed at Shreveport Fire Number 16 at the airport.
Maybe we were where we were at for a reason.
An off-duty firefighter and a medical professional.
You don't see that every day as a phlebotomist or rec.
Who just happened to be paired together at this crossroads of life and death.
I had to do what I was trained to do, which was a simple triage to see how many patients I had.
One of the passengers was alive and alert, but the second one remained entangled in the seatbelt, motionless.
Wasn't responding to anything I was saying to him.
I grabbed his throat and I felt him swallow.
And moments after yelling out for a pocket knife,
I was able to cut the seatbelt back behind him. He kind of took a slight breath,
Life was delivered back into the lungs of a 58-year-old man. The eastbound lanes of Interstate 20. Now this is where I would typically show you two recovering and very grateful crash victims thanking their two heroes for saving a life. I went to their addresses listed on the police report, but found homes abandoned and boarded up. What may help explain this? A family member I did find tells me the most critically injured that day is doing much better, but is a drifter, basically homeless, and would not make for a good television interview. But you don't need me to tell you whether they're the city elite or two facing serious life struggles from their own decision making. It doesn't make what Eric and Steve did any less heroic.
Being able to spring into action like that is amazing.
Because in our book, real heroes just do what they do.
It's just something that, as a fireman, coming from a fireman's standpoint, it's just something that you do and you don't think about it.
Because they know it's the right thing to do.
I don't really, I guess, believe in the word heroes. When you say heroes, I think about the guys that are overseas fighting for us.
And because in their own nearly identical responses, it's what they say they were led to do.
My grandpa always told me God puts people where they need to be.
My faith tells me that God puts us where He wants us to be. I really believe that.
And if the last names didn't give it away, we just heard from Steve Wilkinson's boss, Bobby Wilkinson. Bobby, now retired from Shreveport Fire Department, is Steve's dad. So that makes him doubly proud.